All right, let's get straight to it. We're here for an urgent business briefing on something that holds up the entire Filipino economy: water security. If you run a business here, or plan to, what we're about to talk about is absolutely essential.
I need you to listen really closely, because your company's future, its stability, its profits, it might just hinge on these three names. First up, Laguna de Bay. Okay, so this isn't just any lake. It's the biggest in the Philippines, sure, but think of it as the power source for the industrial heartland that surrounds it.
The second name is the Angat Dam, and trust me, you're going to see in just a second why this one is so incredibly important.
And the third, the Mesa Watershed. Now these three together, they aren't just places on a map. They are the absolute pillars holding up our country's industrial capacity.
So why these three? What's the big deal? Well, because they're not just, geographical spots. You have to think of them as the actual lifelines of Philippine industry. I mean, they're what keep the lights on, what keep the assembly lines moving, and what keeps our communities running.
So let's really dig into this. You've got Laguna de Bay. This thing is an absolute powerhouse. It's not just supplying water to millions of homes, it's fueling hundreds of industrial facilities. Just let that sink in. And then there's the Mesa Watershed. Now the key word here is last. This is the last major forested watershed we have protecting Metro Manila. It's our final green shield, our natural filter. That's a pretty precarious position to be in, right?
Okay, now look at this number, 97%. Just let that sit there for a second. And this is what that number means. It's the amount of Metro Manila's water that comes from a single source, Angat Dam, 97%. Think about that from a business risk perspective. Would you ever put 97% of your assets in one stock? No way. But that's exactly what we've done with the water supply for our country's economic heart. It is a massive single point of failure.
Okay, so we've established how important these lifelines are. Now, here's the problem. And this is where things get really serious. All three of these foundational assets, they are under enormous, and I mean enormous, threat.
And it's not just one thing, it's a whole mess of threats coming from all sides. We're talking about constant pollution that's just choking our waterways. We've got urban sprawl literally eating away at these critical watersheds. Then you throw in these intense climate-fueled droughts that are just hammering our supply. And if that wasn't enough, the very water tables under our feet are dropping. It is quite literally a perfect storm brewing right over our most essential resources.
So, let's be crystal clear about this. This is not just some environmental issue. This is a fundamental, dollars and cents economic risk. We have to connect these dots directly to your operations, to your bottom line.
So what does this actually look like in the boardroom? Well, it looks like your manufacturing lines grinding to a halt because of water rationing. It looks like your operational costs suddenly skyrocketing because you're forced to find other, way more expensive water sources. It can even mean getting shut down by regulators. It also means you're now in conflict with local communities, all fighting for the same limited resource. And you better believe investors are watching. This stuff shows up as a huge red flag on ESG risk assessments, and that can scare money away fast.
And look, I really need to hammer this point home. This is not a future problem. This isn't some abstract thing we need to worry about in 10 or 20 years. It is happening right now. The crisis is here. It's already hitting bottom lines and affecting people's lives today. Okay, but this briefing isn't meant to be all doom and gloom. It's about strategy, right? We've laid out the risk, so now let's talk about the path forward. How do we take this massive systemic risk and actually turn it into a source of resilience for your company?
It really boils down to two very clear, very actionable steps. First, you have to map your water dependency. I mean, do you really know where every single drop of water your business uses comes from? Do you know how vulnerable that supply chain is? And second, you have to get serious about reducing your water footprint. That means investing in efficiency, it means looking at recycling, it means pushing for innovation.
And let's not mince words here. This isn't just about being a good corporate citizen. This is about survival. Plain and simple. The companies that are taking this seriously and acting today, they're the ones building a real competitive advantage. They're going to be the ones still standing, still operating when this crisis gets even worse.
So I'll leave you with this one question. It's the question every single business leader in the Philippines ought to be asking themselves, their board, and their entire team right now. Is your company water secure? Because honestly, your answer to that question is going to define your future.